obviously, our decisions that we make on our policy rate are going to depend on the incoming data, how the outlook is evolving, and the balance of risks, as always. And we'll look at the totality of the data. So I think, and we think, that policy is well positioned to address different paths that the economy might take. And we've said that we don't think it would be appropriate to dial back our restrictive policy stance until we've gained greater confidence that inflation is moving down sustainably toward 2%. So, for example, let me take a path. If we did have a path where inflation proves more persistent than expected and where the labor market remains strong, but inflation is moving sideways and we're not gaining greater confidence, well, that would be a case in which it could be appropriate to hold off on rate cuts. I think there's also other paths that the economy could take which would cause us to want to consider rate cuts, and those would be, two of those paths would be that we do gain greater confidence, as we've said, that inflation is moving sustainably down to 2%, and another path could be, an unexpected weakening in the labor market, for example. So those are paths in which you could see us cutting rates. So I think it really will depend on the data. In terms of peak rate, I think really it's the same question. I think the data will have to answer that question for us.
Well, and could you just follow on the path where you might not cut? Is that, you mentioned that it would be inflation persistent. Is inflation, would that be the key data in making that decision, or could you expand a bit more on that? Thank you.
Again, we've set ourselves a test that for us to begin to reduce policy restriction, we'd want to be confident that inflation is moving sustainably down to 2%. And for sure, one of the things we'd be looking at is the performance of inflation. We'd also be looking at inflation expectations. We'd be looking at the whole story, but clearly incoming inflation data would be at the very heart of that decision.